right, welcome back for another edition of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series that I do where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those tough books that you just don't see on the walls of your LCSs when you go there on Wednesdays to pick up your books. These are just books that are just really, really tough to find out there. Now, this week is a little bit inspired by my buddy Ben Stein's selection on the Hot 10 list last week, CBSI Hot 10 list. Hopefully you guys are checking that out over on comicbookinvest.com. And one of the books on there really stood out because it was a book that I have thought about for a while, but still do not own, and now probably never will because it's going to get even harder to find now that I got a little bit of a light shined on it. So with that said, I have a little bit of a run of books that I want to talk about. Hopefully you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel, and just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be back with this week's books. All right, so as I teased there in the open, I am kind of inspired by this list by a selection, again, that was on the Hot 10 last week, the CBSI Hot 10. And that was the Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers, that movie homage cover. It's just, I love those types of covers. I love homages. I love movie poster homages. I love that anime kind of style, like a lot of buttons. A lot of the right buttons are getting pushed for me to want that book, but I still don't have one. But with that being said, seeing that book put onto the list, I was reminded that, you know what, there is a whole run of these covers that were done by the udon, however you say the publisher name, for those books, that Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers crossover, where there were a lot of 1 in 10s and even a couple of 1 in 20s that are all really, really tough books to find. So that is what the topic is going to be for this week. And again, thank you again to Ben Stein for covering one of the books on the CBSI Hot 10 list, because otherwise I might not have thought to do this list until much, much later in the run. But like I said, I'm inspired right now by that. So that's what we're running with. And I might even do a little bit more on these udon books a little bit later in the week, because there's a lot of really fun homage covers that they did. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So with the tip of the iceberg, let's start again with the book that, was on the Hot 10 list that inspired me to do this kind of run. And this is issue 0 of Street Fighter versus Darkstalkers, number 1. You see, pretty cool cover there. And if you look at it, this is a perfect homage to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. I mean, just look at that. It's just the way that it's laid out. I love it when they actually lay it out as beautifully as this was done, where it matches basically 1 for 1. So you could not be confused over what this is an homage to. It's all right there for you. Definitely a gorgeous cover. And a pretty cool poster for a classic movie. But this, again, was a 1 in 10 incentive from February 2017. Print run is pretty low. I mean, the overall print run, the full print run on this book was only estimated about 5,300 copies, 5,388 to be precise on Comicron. So that would put the incentive roughly at 538 copies. So only 538 copies estimated based off of those numbers, potentially for this book. Now, when we look in the census for all of these, the numbers are very low, even if they exist at all. Just throwing that out there now. As you can see, for this book, there are only 3. 298s and 196. So out of all the copies that are potentially out there, there's only 3 in the census. Find that interesting. It makes me start to think that maybe there are less copies than we actually think of for this book. It's not always a straight 1 for 1, like, oh, well, you do the math, 1 in 10, there's got to be, 1 copy for every 10 copies that were printed. That's not always the case. So keep that in mind. What's listed for sale for this book after it hitting the Hot 10? There's none right now. I believe there was one over the weekend that I saw, so somebody must have scooped it up after seeing it spotlighted there on the CBSI Hot 10. So now it's all gone. So there's none out there right now for this book. And if we look at what actually sold recently, we can see, yes, November 26th, there was a best offer accepted on that $117, as well as a couple other copies sold. So it was $98 on that best offer. And then November 24th, there was a buy it now for $65. And then November 16th, there was a 9.8 that had accepted a best offer on $150, where they took $120. which that is looking like a steal at this point based off of the trajectory of this book. When you look at those last two sales, where it went from 65 to $100 raw to only pay 120 for a 9.8. Definitely a bargain, at least in my mind. I would have been in on that at that price personally, but I wasn't thinking about it then. So this is why sometimes awareness is definitely key on books like this. So once awareness hits, you can see how fast prices can jump once people start looking. So that's why I like talking about things that are a little bit under the radar, so you can still try to get them, at that cheap price before they get that bump. But as I said, this isn't the only book. As cool as this cover is, this is not the only cover in this run that's worth looking at. And all of these are very, very hard to find, if not impossible to find. So we're just going to keep running through this list of this series. We're going to go to issue number 1. Issue number 1 also had an Homage movie cover. This time, it's homaging Dracula. Pretty cool. I mean, look at it. It's right there. 1 for 1. It's all laid out perfectly. This is also a 1 in 10 incentive. This came out in May of 2017, so a couple of months after the 0 issue. And this one had a print run that was a little bit higher because it was a number 1 issue. So it had 9,642, which means the 1 in 10 is going to have 964 potential copies. So this one is a little bit more plentiful, almost 2 to 1 to that 0 issue, just because of print runs. I mean, people order more in issue 1s than they do issue 0s. Just the nature of the hobby, I suppose. If we look at the CGC census, though, there is still just only one of these, and it's a 9.6. So definitely interesting. Definitely interesting when you look at it that way. Still only 1 copy in the census. Not a lot of people grading these Street Fighter Darkstalker covers, even though they really are pretty cool. For sale on this one, look, you can get this as cheap as $7. $7. 14 watchers, like $7. Like, I don't know. Are you waiting for the place to drop to 5? I don't know, but definitely interesting. Keeping your eye on that. So $7 to $20 are copies out there right now if you were interested in this one. And if you want to see what actually sold recently, well, $7. Looks like the same seller, that same background. November 10th one sold for, and then just November 28th, so just yesterday, a couple days ago, one also sold for $679. I'm sorry. So even under that $699 price, one sold. So definitely a bargain book right there. I mean, that's under ratio. That's pretty close to cover for this book. And like I said, even if there's a maximum amount of estimated copies, it's still under 1,000, which ain't that many. So I don't know. Granted, this isn't the coolest of the covers. It is cool to me, but it's not the best homage. But it is one I wouldn't mind having. Well, I wouldn't mind having the whole set, but we'll get there. That's where this one is. But issue 1 didn't only have the 1 in 10. There was also a 1 in 20, which is why I think this one got overshadowed. Because I remember this book got a lot of heat when it came out of the gate, and this is that art germ for issue 1 that was actually a 1 in 20 incentive. So this 1 in 20, I think, got a lot of the heat when it came out because it was art germ. Everybody loves art germ, or at least a lot of people love art germ. And this is a cool cover. Chun-Li, Darkstalkers there. 1 in 20, again, same print run, but since it's a 1 in 20, there's only going to be 482 potential copies. So it's under 500 copies for this 1 in 20, which definitely makes it a little bit harder to find, you would think. But when we look in the census, there are copies of this one in the census, however. There's 39 to be precise. 19 9.8s, 11 9.6s, and then a few others filling out that almost 40. There's 39 copies in the census of these. Because again, this book, people were aware of it when it came out. People were looking for it. And people are still thinking about it because you look at what's listed for sale. There are copies out there. Granted, they're expensive, but they're out there. You look at those 9.8s at $825 and $899.99. 11 watchers on that $900 one. And then there's a 9.2 signature series from, it looks like a CBCS that's asking $625 or best offer. So that's your cheapest copy if you want a 9.2 signature series from CBCS, but otherwise this is like an $900 9.8. That's the asking prices. And if you want to see what actually sold on this, well, 9.2 sold for $330, and then a 9.8 accepted a best offer just on November 21st, which is not that long ago, and they accepted $550. So that's a pretty deep discount off that $850 ask to get it for $550. I don't know. It's still a pretty steep price if you ask me, but it is not an easy book to find, and it is pretty pricey. It is definitely pretty pricey, but there are copies. There are copies. So that was issue 1. So let's look at issue 2. Pretty cool cover here as well. I mean, look at this. You know, Creature from the Black Lagoon, right? Perfect. Perfect homage. Just fits right in there. I love these things. I don't know. I'm a sucker, again, for the homage covers, especially when they're movie poster related. But this one is also going back to a 1 in 10. The movie poster homages are all the 1 in 10s. This one was from June 2017, so the next month it hits a regular schedule. But still, only 2017 is not that long ago on these books. And issue 2, you can see the drop. It dropped to 6,266 estimated print run for the full issue. So the 1 in 10 is going to give us about 626 copies. Definitely a lot less. You chop like a third of the print run off of issue 1 to get here to issue 2 for this pretty cool Riku, the curiously attractive fish man. And if you're curious what's in the census for this one, well, looks like nobody decided to grade this one, at least at CGC. Definitely interesting. As I said, there's 1 copy or no copies for some of these books. Just keep that in mind. These are tough and not really thought about until now. Again, I should have bought these when I had a chance, but now they're probably going to be even tougher. But hey, it is what it is. Information is free. I don't mind sharing it. You guys do with it what you like. So if you beat me to these books, I have no ill will. Congrats. If you have them, share them. Tag me in IG. I'd love to see them if you have any of these books, as is any of the books that I talk about on the channel, and specifically the Chasing Ghosts video series. I love seeing these things out there in the wild, in people's hands, that these books are out there being enjoyed by somebody. So if you have them, again, please tag me at Rennavision on IG. I'd love to see the books. But no copies listed for sale for issue 2. None in the census. None listed for sale. And did any sell? No, none sold either. Definitely interesting. Definitely interesting if you ask me on that one. And this book also had a 1 in 20. I think this was Warren Lau, if I'm saying his name properly, cover. Not as popular as the Art Germ. Again, printed a little bit less, but this was still a book I remember people still looked at when it came out. Again, June 2017, a 1 in 20 incentive. So it's going to be, again, half of that print run of the 1 in 10. So estimate there is only going to be 313 copies. 313. That is a pretty low number we're talking about here. That's getting into some of those really limited, like, convention exclusives. So definitely not a ton of copies to be had if you were out there shopping for this book. Not to say that there's a ton of Street Fighter and Darkstalkers fans. Don't get that twisted. It's not like this is a Spider-Man book where there's tons of Spider-Man fans out there. This is more of a little niche collecting core that might be looking for books like this. But I count myself one of them because I kind of dig it. But only if I can find out for the right price. And if you want to see what's in the census, there's only 5 copies, 2 9/8s, a 9/6, and 2 9/4s. Not a lot. Definitely not a lot. And any out there for sale? Not right now. And did we have any sell? No. So just like the 1 in 10, issue 2 is a blank spot. Both sold and available right now. So good luck. Good luck in your hunt. But let's see. What about issue 3? We're going to have more luck with issue 3. Pretty cool. Again, I like Capcom. I love these the decisions they decided to make here with some of these covers. It's fun. It fits pretty well. And this cover, again, fits the Karlov mummy pretty well. It's a pretty well, 1-for-1 homage there. I dig it. I definitely like them. I think they did a good job. 1 in 10 incentive here. This was also in June of 2017. This was at the end of the month. This is one of those, looks like a double ship month. So one came out the first week of the month, and the next issue came out the last week of the month. And then it looks like it's going to skip July, but we'll get to that. Estimated print run on this one, issue 3 here, is 5,522 copies. So our 1 in 10 is only going to be 552 copies. So again, numbers are dwindling. They're bleeding readers at this point, or the orders are definitely not as high as they were to start. And if we look at the census, even that's going down. There's only 2 copies, and they're both 9/6s on this one. Just 2, and both 9/6s. Also interesting. If you want to see what's for sale for this one, we got one. There is one out there for $69. Not cheap, but it's not ridiculous. It's not going to break your back, but it's not cheap, but it's there. It's there if you want it. $69. And if you want to see what one would sell for, well, we have 2 copies, 2 examples. One just sold on November 13th. The best offer on $22 for $20. That's not bad. I'm probably in for $20. And then one just sold on November 27th for $80. So I don't know. That thing could sell. That $69 one might not be out there for very long. So if you're interested, make your decision, because you saw what happened with issue 2. Nothing out there. But issue 3 is, I think, our last one that actually has a 1 in 20 again, like the first 2. And this 1 in 20 is a different take. This is a interesting, pillow fight cover. Makes me think of Animal House a little bit here with this. But this is not an homage to anything. This is just a fun pillow fight cover. So if you are a pillow fight cover collector, this one is probably on your watch list. This is, again, a 1 in 20. Still, end of the month, June 2017. We look at that print run. So the estimated incentives, it's only going to be 276 now on this one. 276. So this one is really getting down there as far as limited copies. But hey, if you can find it, good luck. We got 1 in the census, 198. There is 1. Just 1. And if you want to go shopping to see what this one's going to run you, there's none. So no copies right now of issue 3, the 1 in 20, for you to purchase to add to your pillow fight collection. And if you want to see what this actually sold for, to get an idea of what the market might be on it, well, again, good luck, because there are no copies sold again. So this, like issue 2, is just not there. It's just not there. It's going to take us to issue 4 of the run. This is not a very long run, so we're more than halfway through. But issue 4, I'm sure you can guess what the homage here is on this one with this cover. It's pretty clear. You got Frankenstein right there, the original horror show Frankenstein. Again, the layout with the bodies down front, the doctor with M. Bison. Cool covers. I dig it. Again, another one I wouldn't mind having. And this one isn't as bad as some of the others. 1 in 10 incentive. Like I said, August 2017. So you can see they skipped July because of that double shipping in June. But estimated print run on this is only 5,800 copies, thereabouts. So that's going to give us about 580 copies of that 1 in 10 incentive, which, again, it actually ticked up a little bit, but not by much. 198. That's all we got in the census for this one. So, again, numbers very, very low, if existent at all. And if you want to go buy this one, there's one for $22. All right. Looks like it's probably the same seller as the last issue, the issue 3 that accepted 20. So maybe you can get this one for 20 if you make an offer. Just saying, up to you. Pretty cool, issue 4, but I think that's the only one that's out there right now, is that $22 raw copy. And if you want to see what this actually sells for, oh, there's none for sale as well. So definitely a tough book. And just like the rest, it's a set I wouldn't mind having. Now, while the classic horror movie homages, the Universal Monster homage covers are done at this point, this series isn't yet done. There's still a couple of issues left, and they decided to still do homages, but to comic books, not to these horror posts. So they completely switched gears the rest of the way here. And this is kind of what leads me into what I'm going to be doing for Forgotten Variants for another run from the Udon books for Friday. But we'll get to that later. You can wait for Friday for that. But our next book, issue 5, shifts things up with the 1 in 10. And if you don't know this cover just by seeing the image right off the top, this is Superman versus Muhammad Ali. Weird way to shift from the Universal Monsters to Muhammad Ali and Superman. But hey, still pretty fun. It's still pretty fun when you see an homage. And again, definitely well done with the whole layout and everything. Everything matched. Even the trade dress is built to match the originals. I love that level of detail that they put into these. It is definitely makes them definitely more interesting. Again, 1 in 10 incentive, September 2017 at this point. Print run, estimated about 5,600 copies. So we're looking at the incentive as having maybe 561 copies of this 1 in 10. Still, not big numbers. And when we look in the census, not big numbers, because there's still 198 for this one as well. That's it. And if you want to go shopping online right now, there is a copy. Looks like it's at $22, so that looks like a same seller might have this one as well. $22, best offer, is the only copy out there right now. So consider it if you will. And if you want to see what it sold for, just like the last, there are none. No sales the last 3 months, which is going to take us to issue number 6, which we're going to shift gears completely again with this cover, which I'm sure you can probably recognize this one just by seeing it. But if not, I have it for you. This is DC versus Marvel Comics #1. You can see with the lightning or power bolt splitting them right down the center with the characters rushing at you. But in this case, they're Street Fighter and Darkstalkers characters instead of Marvel and DC. Still, fun idea, fun concept, executed very well. I like it. Another 1 in 10, this time October 2017. Pretty cool. Print run still going down, ticking down a little bit. Only just under 5,400 copies for this one. So the incentive is potentially going to have 539 copies. So still right in that 500 range for most of these. So not a lot of copies. Definitely not a lot of copies. And if you want to see what's in the census on this one, well, this is another one where there is no census. There are no copies submitted for this issue, this particular cover. And if you want to go shopping for it, well, there are a couple copies. $18.35 with free shipping and 12 watchers. And then there's a $25 or a best offer that looks like it's might be that familiar seller with the other one. So maybe you can make a deal and get a good chunk of these knocked off. But then you just have to get the really pricey ones still to go, which is something I would consider, but I don't think I'm ready to make that kind of play right now. So if you guys would like to, have at it. Let me know if you do, and let me know when you get them. What's actually sold on this book? Again, just like the last and many of the others, none sold in the last 3 months on these because, hey, it's just not something that's been moving. And that's it. That was the run. And as I said, there are copies of a few of these, but not many. So when we look at the ones out there that actually had 2 or more copies, like the issue 1 in 10, even the issue 1 in 20, and then that issue 6, the 1 in 10. Since there's at least 2 copies, we're just going to call those hard to find, with that middle one being hard to find and expensive. Whereas the other 2 are both pretty affordable, really. I mean, $20 ain't that bad for a 1 in 10. And the number 1 there, you can get the 1 in 10 for under $10. You can get it for $6. Definitely affordable. So if you're interested, they're there. There aren't many, but there are a couple. And going back to the book that started this all off, because it showed up on the Hot 10, and there are no copies there. The rest of these either have no copies or a couple of them have 1. But look at that. We've had a ton of books this week that just by the sheer nature of it, just having no copies at all, no sales, or only having 1 copy out there right now with no sales, I feel comfortable calling most of these ghosts. That's just my personal call. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. That's fine. I'm fine with the discussion, but these things are just not easy to find. So if you have them, share them. If you're looking for them, good luck, because it's going to be probably a tough haul to go and pick all of these up. But that's my call for the week. Most of these books in this series are ghosts. They're just not out there. And they're not even that old. 2017 wasn't that long ago. But that all being said, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for checking in. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you were interested in that. Hopefully you like these udon books, because like I said, I fell a little bit down that rabbit hole, so I got a few more that I'm going to cover on Friday. But we'll get to that when we get to Friday. A couple more Street Fighter books. But definitely cool homages, fun stuff. I just like looking at this stuff, try to make you guys aware, share this information. So, you guys do with it what you like. It's up to you what you want to do with the info. I just like talking about comics and checking out cool covers. So hopefully you like that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys soon. And make sure you check out the live show on Wednesday and Sunday here on Rennavision.